Hey everybody, it's Taylor with Boydston Grove, and today we're going to be making this medieval battle axe. Let's get into it. Now, we've used these blades many times for many other projects before, but this time I wanted to do something a little unique. Something a little outside of the box and something a little exciting. Now, originally I planned on making a Viking axe, but as I started to do a little research, I realized that most Viking axes are only one-sided. They don't often have double heads, and second, they're usually wrapped around the post rather than going through the post like ours is going to be. So this is actually just going to be an axe for fun, not necessarily a full-blown Viking axe. Now, the blade I'm using on my angle grinder is not a typical cutoff blade. It is a heavy-duty blade specifically made for cutting thicker metals. Now, I know this isn't perfect by any means. There's a lot going on here. But after I took a look at it for a while, I decided I like that hand-hewn, kind of homemade look. So instead of trying to refine it, we're just going to embrace these imperfections and run with it. For the hardware on our axe, we're going to be using plumbing fittings that I picked up at the local hardware store. They're galvanized and they have this rough exterior with some print stamped in them, and they also have these little ridges. We're just going to use the grinder to grind all of this off. I can do that because this is relatively soft metal and it grinds really easily. Now, because this metal is so soft, I can easily sand it with my belt sander. And as you can see, it makes it really smooth. I did leave it a little unfinished so those blemishes would kind of go along with the blemishes that are already on the blade itself. I was also able to use that sander to put a nice edge on the head of the axe. Now the dowel I bought for the handle is 1.25 inches, and the fittings that I bought are also 1.25 inches, but because they have these threads on the inside, they don't fit exactly in the handle, so we're going to have to make this dowel a little bit smaller. Normally a lathe would be the perfect way to do this, but seeing as how I don't have one, I'm going to show you a little trick on the table saw. Now the technique I'm using on the table saw is not suggested use for a table saw. This is for experienced users only. I am very comfortable with my table saw, and as you can see, I'm standing off to the side so no kickback would actually hit me. Plus the blade is raised such a small amount that it wouldn't actually create much of a kickback anyways. Now to assemble the axe, I'm just going to use 2-part epoxy because we're not going to really be using it for anything serious, just having some fun and mainly display. But if you actually wanted this to be a working axe, you would need to use actual hardware to attach everything. All right, we're just about done. The rough stuff is done. We're just going to give that epoxy some time to dry, and then we're going to start doing some decorating. Now, after some careful thought, I decided to not really put a lot of embellishments on this axe since it is supposed to be kind of like a medieval battle axe. So I decided I was just going to do some quick wood burning along the top of the handle. Now, for those of you wanting to try your hand at wood burning, just know that oak is pretty difficult to wood burn on because of the deep grain. It tends to give you an uneven look in your wood burning. Alright, and our project is complete. I am so excited about this. It just was a lot of fun to make. And now, it's time to test it out. Alright, this was a lot of fun to make. I did a couple techniques that I've never done before, a lot of stuff with the angle grinder that I've never done before. It really made me excited to approach other projects that I've been wanting to try. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it. If you want to see all our other projects, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know every time we upload a new video. And we would love to hear what you thought of this project in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. Be safe and have a great day.